Hi, my name is Jay Sugarman, and I want to welcome you to Museum Open House. This ongoing series features and highlights many of the outstanding museums and other cultural institutions. The main purpose of most programs is to inform viewers about current and upcoming exhibits, various programs, resources, and other opportunities that are available for the general public. Today, via Zoom, we're fortunate to have as our guest Craig Bloodgood. Craig serves as a contemporary curator at the Art Complex Museum located in Duxbury. For decades, the Art Complex Museum has offered visitors a unique opportunity to experience an impressive collection of American and Asian art, rotating contemporary exhibitions, beautiful sculpture gardens, and engaging educational programs, all in a setting that encourages reflection, curiosity, and discovery. During the program, in addition to providing an overview of the museum, Craig will take us on a behind the scenes tour to the timely and thought provoking exhibition entitled Under Construction America at 250. Rather than offering a simple celebration or a straightforward historical survey, Under Construction, America at 250 invites visitors to consider the American story as something that is still evolving, a work in progress shaped by many voices, perspectives, challenges, and aspirations. Let's start by meeting Craig and then finding out all about the Art Complex Museum. Welcome. So delighted to be able to be here, Craig.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
You
We're
know,
uh, we're actually doing this right from the center of our gallery at the Art Complex Museum, our main
oh,
gallery. So you're inside.
that looks fabulous, fabulous. Well, eager to hear all about the museum and the under construction exhibition. I know you've prepared a wonderful, all-encompassing slide presentation. So I think we'll segue to that, and you can
Sure.
begin by sharing for those maybe not familiar with the Art Complex Museum, perhaps a little bit about its history,
Sure.
layout, and how it's become one of South Shore's cultural treasures.
All right, that's easy. All right, so the Art Complex Museum is in Duxbury, Massachusetts, which is on the coast, pretty much near Plymouth, between Boston and the Cape. I've been here for 28 years as contemporary curator and now deputy director. The museum itself has been here for 55 years,
Wow.
and we recently underwent a major renovation. Uh, it was coincided with our 50th anniversary. It also coincided with COVID, which strangely enough gave us an opportunity to take advantage of being shut down to take care of all these different things we had on what was considered a long range plan, and it became sort of a short range to-do list. So a lot of beautiful changes to the museums, to the grounds, and to our storage ability. We have an 8,000 piece collection, so it's important that we can
Mhm.
take care of that here. So the museum is a family project, the Weyerhaeuser family, the lumber family. And so I want to take you through some of these pictures of our galleries, which really show the extent of what we would say is somewhat of a tribute to wood. We have three major galleries inside the museum. If you were to come through the front door, this is what you would see with the and the gallery we're in right now is the one I'm showing you here called the Banks Gallery. And this is where we have three major exhibitions a year.
Mhm.
It's has a center gallery we call Rotations that is in that blue section in the middle, and we always show parts of our collection there. And that's one of our main sort of issues is how do we show our collection as much as possible and tell our story. So one of the things we did recently during our renovation is we created a founders room, and the founders room tells the story of who we are and how we got here. And the entire museum began when Carl and Edith Weyerhaeuser began collecting, and they collected in four main areas. So American paintings is a big area, and we have some of those up now. That's Charles Birchfield. That was George Bellows I just showed you, and Charles Woodbury. So sort of a major American painting collection. We also have a lot of shaker furniture. Our One of our founders, the Edith, was very instrumental in the restoration of Hancock Shaker Village out in Pittsfield. So that is a sort of a type of aesthetic that both Carl and Edith really, really liked. And American Beauty, which is up now, and which we're basically sitting among, is shows probably 30 pieces from our Shaker collection. We also have a lot of prints and works on paper, both American and Asian, and a lot of ceramics. And most of our ceramics are related to tea ceremony. And so tea ceremony is important. We have contemporary artists who are part of, we collect as well. But and now we're moving into studio furniture, which is something that was collected since I've been here, not part of the original collection. But we like the aesthetic, and this is all again part of American Beauty. So American Beauty, which is here through the end of August, is part of a program called Handwork 2026. And Handwork 2026 is a collaboration with American Craft, or Craft in America, which is a PBS station out of LA. And we're one of about 200 small and large museums across the country who are celebrating the 250th through craft and handwork. So most of these pieces, well, I should say all of these pieces in the show, including the shaker, are part of the collection. And many of the pieces were collected while I've been here from exhibitions that we've had over the last 28 years. So we're really, really sort of glad to bring them all together. It's what turned out to be somewhat of a reunion for all these artists and all these pieces. Just want to take you for a couple quick looks of the space.
Please.
So that's part of our shaker. And the shaker craftsmanship and the contemporary studio artist craftsmanship there's a lot of similarities, and the pieces worked really, really well together. And we consider handwork more as sort of what the definition of craft is, the sort of the being made by hand, not necessarily it being utilitarian. It doesn't have to be usable. And one of the reasons we collect so much ceramic work related to tea is we have a tea house on the property. We have tea ceremony, which is sort of a beautifully peaceful way of being nice to somebody. It's all about hospitality. And the tea house is open now on Thursday nights, but the actual tea ceremony, which you can partake in, is on the last Sundays of the months in June, July, and September. So there's one coming up in a week and a half here. But, so I'm showing you the grounds because, under construction was an idea that we thought we could put it on the grounds. We could incorporate it into what we already have on the grounds. If we could do this right, we could use this as an opportunity to really expand where we put sculpture. And so to start, we have 13 acres. So, and we have a historic house, which I'm showing you right now on the property, it has a small gallery there on the right-hand side. We have a studio for workshops in there, and we have a guest suite. But I'm just trying to show you the extent of these grounds and how we can use them, because there is already 23 different pieces of artwork before under construction even began. We had to work with the fact that there's these pieces already out there. This is a George Greenemeyer, who's an artist who was somewhat local. He's passed on, but we're pretty big fans of his. He ran the art department at Mass Art for 30 years or so. So one of the things we really wanted to do was figure out a way to incorporate under construction. And one of the things that helped us to do that was to, once we had chosen the artists, we decided to visit as many as possible. And it's really important to me that if an artist is building something specific for us, that I get in there and get a sense of what they're doing, and we can work together on what might work best. This is about as far as we went to visit Monica. Monica's an artist who was born in Warsaw. There's two artists in this show. Now we did an open call. We had 50 responses. We chose originally we chose 15 pieces. We decided to expand the show. We went back and we chose two more. But out of all those responses, two of the artists were both born in uh, communist countries under communist
Hmm.
rule and have ended up in America. So those were the kind of voices we were looking for. We were looking for artists who had something to say. And Monica's piece, this is how we ended up with it. We wanted, this is a door that will not open. And, I guess depending on what side of the door you're on, you might have a different point of view here.
Yeah.
Um, but we wanted to set this up in such a way, it was hard to do, so that if you really stood in front of it, you didn't know that there was so many barriers keeping you from opening it. Um, and that was something that we couldn't have figured out without having gone out to the studio and talking to her about that. So uh, studio visits became something we did. Stacy Latz Savage had a pretty big idea, and um, she she finished it pretty much at the last moment. I went to see this piece a few weeks before it was to be installed, and uh, got a little nervous about how it was coming, but she really, these artists put a lot into this. It means a lot to them to be part of this. They put a huge amount of effort into it, and we try to meet them as much as we can. This was the model for this piece, and it's made out of concrete. So a number of the artists work in concrete, which is really perfect for an exhibition like this. It's super durable and it's fairly easy to work with. This is the finished piece, and this is outside the barn, which when I showed you the tea house is attached to the other side of this barn. So we really have a campus setting that you can really walk through to see all these different pieces. So um, that's Stacy's piece now. It's that's the strongest bone in your body, I guess. She's there's a lot going on here. It's called oh gosh, mur murmur murmuration and murmuration. If you've ever seen like swallows flying through the air and
Uh-huh.
those creative, beautiful, it looks choreographed. That's murmuration. So um, that's a beautiful piece. One of the things I'll probably talk about it later. This is so I mentioned that we have artists from who were not born under a democratic system. Jackie Reeves is a painter. We've worked with her before. She's actually only become a U.S. citizen in the last 2 years. She's from Canada. She's lived in the United States a long time. She was one of the artists we specifically asked, would you like to be part of this show? We'd like your opinion. You just became a citizen 2 years ago.
Hmm.
You might have some thoughts. And she said, well, I do, but I'm a painter. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. And we said, don't worry about that. We'll take care of you. We'll walk you through it. And it was great. So we visited her. She's on the Cape, so not too far. She's part of a what's called Chalkboard Studio, and she came up with this idea and really didn't need that much help with us, but just needed us to say, this will work. And here we have installed it. This
Nice.
show gave us the opportunity to open up different parts of the property, and that's one of the things we hoped. We were hoping when the show is done, we will have more outdoor gallery space So this is a piece that is in what we would be calling that new space. And we're pretty happy with how this all came out. Um, this is Richard Neal. Richard Neal is an artist we've shown before. So I would say that of the artists who are here, who showed in under construction, I would say half of them we were familiar with.
Mhm.
And I would say the other half were new to us. But now, of course, we're very familiar with them and we feel like they're part of our community of artists. Richard wanted to do a piece with found material on the property. And so he spent a couple of days here over the course of the spring assembling found materials, which we have a lot of, and couldn't have been easier for him to find down branches and broken logs and different things. So he put this together, and his whole thing was like, can I put this someplace where people can look down on it? And it didn't occur to me. I didn't know where that was until one
Mm.
day I was walking across our bridge, and I'll show you a picture down at the end of where we put it because we have a walking bridge, and he was able to put it down there, and it's perfect. Um,
Nice.
this is a piece by Gary Orlinsky, and even the plot of grass that he's putting this piece on didn't exist last year. This was a driveway into
Mm.
our woods where our landscapers stored their equipment. So we really took this show as an opportunity to just really clean up and expand and really push the sort of the boundaries of what is now outdoor gallery space. So this is
Really.
Gary, and it's a great piece. Again, you want to be able to come to these pieces, and the artist, every piece has a statement by the artist, but you want the artist to leave room for yourself to take a look at it and see what you think. And this is basically an American flag protected by these rebar bars. And so you can make what you will of that, but it's one of my favorite pieces. Uh, so what happens when you take 14 pieces and you put them on the property? We wanted them to not blend in. We didn't want them to look like they were just part of what was there. So we created these kiosks with the labels on.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
so if you look around the property, you see these every once in a while, and you know that it almost looks like a golf course. You're looking at the flag of every hole, and you realize that all makes sense. But the beauty of these kiosks is that they not only have the artist's statement, but they now have QR codes which you can click on. So
Oh,
anywhere,
nice.
even when you're off site, two of these pieces are off site. You get a sense of exactly what under construction is about. And then you get a little bio on the artist, and you can just go deeper and deeper as much as you want, but they're very self-contained. So you can start this show at any piece. There's no order to it. And they do tend to build on each other, but I don't think you have to take them in any specific order for that to happen. I think it's the nature of having so many of these pieces here. So I wanted to show the other thing I wanted to mention is there's a lot of work putting these shows together. So
Most
it's
definitely.
a good thing we had a year and a half. I had to come up with a way to put these big metal sculptures on what looks like cement pads, but I didn't want to have a lot of cement pads on the property when the show ends in 14 months. So I basically built very strong fake cement pads. So all
Mm.
my pads are they look like they're concrete. They're painted like they're concrete. They actually weigh quite a bit, but they're all movable. And yes, a lot of work on the artist end, a lot of work on the museum end. So it's really a collaboration to put a show like this together. You know, I've worked with a couple of artists before named Michael and Martin Ohm, and they're a dad and a son, and done a lot of work at the museum. I mean, I've been here 28 years. They've probably shown here 3 or 4 times over that 28 years.
Hmm.
Before the show was even thought of, Martin Ullman sends me a picture of this piece, and it's a replica of the first atomic bomb or the second atomic bomb. And and so he says to me, "Look at what my son built me." And I was like, "That's really fantastic." And the minute we got under construction, sort of started moving on it, I got right back to him. I said, "Martin, we gotta show that bomb of yours." Um, and so so uh, Michael, the son, is pretty much the brains. They work differently. Michael is really well known for his found object motorcycles, but this is a picture from Mad Max, the last Mad Max movie. And
Mhm.
Michael went to Australia for 2 years and he built this flaming guitar. And whenever I tell people, like,
Wow.
have you ever seen the flaming guitar in Mad Max? And everyone pretty much remembers it. And it was made out of its found objects. I think there's a bedpan in there, a bedpan and a cornet and God knows what, but it's pretty wild. Um, and it really, I think, boosted his career. So he's one of our favorites. This is this is a piece by an artist from Maine that we just couldn't pass up. It's Christopher Columbus. It's become a little bit of the talk of the town. People are wondering what is going on in here, and I mean, honestly, all I need to do is please stop and read the label. But Aaron Steffen's is a pretty well-known artist from Portland, Maine, and he's got a little bit of a fixation on Christopher Columbus. So he's done him a bunch of different ways, but mainly he's done Columbus not exactly knowing where he's going, but still finding his way. But this piece also, to me, says a lot about the way we are second taking second looks at the monuments in this country. So he was trying to talk a little bit about this. This piece is actually right on the edge of our property. Every car in Duxbury goes past it twice a day. So uh, anyway, we'll see. So this is I just a little out of order maybe, but this is Richard Neal's piece, the found object piece. And so if you're up on our walking bridge, you can look down, and
Hmm.
it's actually Uncle Sam looking slightly worse for wear. And it's been a long 250 years for Uncle Sam. So he here he is. I like to think that he's just resting for the for the next round.
There we go.
Mac Dewart's an artist we really like, and this piece is pretty beautiful. We did ask everyone to you've got to make the connection, but this piece is really about Eastern and Western culture and all the times they've kind of crossed paths in our country over the last 250 years. And it's a beautiful piece. It also ends up being sort of the gateway to the path to our tea house. So we're really pretty thrilled with this piece. Um, and I just want to show you before we kind of end here some of the pieces as they are finished in their spaces. So We the People. This is a hard one to photograph. It's probably my favorite piece.
Hmm.
We had an artist from North Carolina who applied to do this We the People. And I guess I didn't picture it being so big or so heavy. It turned out to be really elaborate. We gave each of the artists $3,000 stipend. This probably has, $3,000 worth of chain in it, and probably another couple thousand in delivery. Um, but it's a really powerful piece. It's a beautiful piece. And, there are probably 3 or 4 pieces here that I'm hoping will live here much longer than the 14 months time period. And this is one of those pieces. So, um, and then Josh Orzo is an artist from New Jersey who we also didn't know. We didn't know Kasia. We didn't know Josh. And this is his piece, which is along a walkway. So you could literally, to see all 14 pieces.
Wow.
You could spend some time walking through just these beautiful gardens and getting a sense of what everything is. Andy Moreland is an artist who's shown here before. He put 13 rocks and trees. It's a little bit of the, he's talking about the permanence of certain things, but also the way things can also be turned upside down, and the way some things will be here long after we're gone. So one of my favorite pieces. A little tricky to install, but one of my favorites.
Fabulous. You know,
So
what do you hope visitors will still be thinking about after they've had the opportunity to visit the exhibition, the installation?
well, I hope that they realize that we are still evolving. We're still like you still get to. We're not finished. We have things to do, and you can be part of that. And if an artist, to me, artists have a way of telling you where we are. Here's where we are today. And I think a lot of these artists did that. So I'm hoping people leave here and they think, uh, I, hey man, I need to vote. I need to get, I need to participate. That would be perfect if everyone was able to do that. Um, I think there's only a couple pieces here. This is a really beautiful piece. It's a beautiful piece before you actually know what's inside it. It's a
Mm,
geodesic dome.
mhm.
It's like one of those Buckminster Fuller, buckyballs, and
Yeah.
it's quite beautiful. But inside it is examples of samplers from that young girls would do as a way to learn to read when they weren't
Mhm.
really being taught to read. So
Mhm.
it's kind of an empowering piece. Um, and there's 13 examples, one from each colony. So
Oh, fabulous.
quite possibly my favorite piece. We did put two pieces on other parts of in town, and that was great because it was a collaboration with Duxbury Rural and Historical Society, as well as the center, which is formerly the Duxbury Senior Center. So, and they're very self-contained, and so when you see the piece, you can go take a look at it, and you will end up, probably coming to the museum, and they're very, very visible. Um, so, this is Jakob Kuhlen's piece, which is an artist who has some other work on their grounds. So, and that's the Duxbury Senior Center. So we're really glad we sort of stretched. When I was here for a long time, the museum, we thought of the front door of the museum as where the museum opened and began or ended. And now we don't know where the museum begins or ends. It goes well beyond the front door.
That's
So
for sure.
that's one of the things we're the most happy with. So that's my last slide, the museum at night. And yeah, so thanks for giving
Well,
me that chance.
oh, this has been a wonderful opportunity for all of us watching, as well as others, to get a wonderful overview of the Art Complex Museum, and especially the under construction America at 250 exhibition. I know anybody listening and enjoying your presentation will join me in wanting to head to Duxbury as soon as possible to enjoy what you and your colleagues and the artist have assembled. And the good news is, as you said, it'll be on display for the next 14 months or so. So
Yeah,
lots of opportunity for multiple visits because it certainly warrants that just from
yeah.
hearing this.
Looking forward to seeing it after we get 3 feet of snow.
There you go. Well, Craig, unfortunately, we've come to the end of the program. Thanks again
You're welcome.
for being a guest and for the incredible presentation. And just want to wish you continued success with future endeavors.
Thank you. Really, it's been my pleasure.
Also, want to thank those of you watching for joining us and hope you'll be able to tune in next time.